Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the Lytham Partners Spring 2025 Investor Conference. My name is Joe Dorame, Managing Partner of Lytham Partners. I would like to welcome Scientific Industries, which trades on the OTC under the ticker SCND. For today's webcast from the company are John Moore, Chairman, and Helena Santos, Chief Executive Officer. John and Helena will be taking us through their slide presentation, followed by a brief Q&A session. Welcome, John. I will now turn the floor over to you.
Thank you so much. Scientific Industries is a 70-year-old company which has our products in virtually every life science laboratory in the world. And we are taking on the challenge of digitally simplifying life science. And many of you will be surprised that most life science activities today are done manually. And what we're doing is we're investing in technologies that digitalize and automate laboratory activities. So this is our disclaimer statement. And next, I'll tell you a little bit about the background of Scientific Industries. So we're a life science tool business. We have two basic businesses. Our legacy-based business, which we call the benchtop laboratory business, has stable revenues, growth, earnings, and then we have scientific bioprocessing. And scientific bioprocessing is the business which is based on the the uh, the research and development and manufacturing of biologic drugs, supporting that. And we think that's a poised for outsized growth. So the historic legacy of the business is we sell to through 150 distributors around the world. Literally every life science lab in the world uses our products, and 50% of our sales are domestic, 50% are international. Um, we acquired a company in Germany several years ago. We've invested over $30 million, and we've done 8 years of development. We have a great understanding of the product market fit, and we're targeting the $2 billion bioprocessing development industry. And we had previously licensed intellectual property that earned the company $9 million of royalties based upon billions of dollars of sales of a product called the Amber System by Sartorius. And what we said was we felt that they were not addressing the 90% of the market that couldn't afford this $1 million system that is the Amber System. So what we were doing was we invested our $30 million to basically automate and create upgrade kits for the billions of dollars of installed equipment in life sciences laboratories to be able to automate the most common reaction vessel in science, which is the shake flask. And so we have developed that technology. We're currently selling it at about 10% of the cost of a competing technology. And we think that that's really important because in the new era of artificial intelligence, what's really going to be important is the validation of the science which is being done in computational biology, and that's going to make this a really important and fast growing business. So we have over 450 customers to date. We've introduced in April of 2024 a new product called the multi-parameter sensor, and we're adding additional pieces to that product line in the next 6 months. Next slide. So we have a terrific board. I'm a big believer that a great board is a tribute to the power of the idea that are animating the company. And so we have Dr. Jürgen Schumacher, who is the co-founder of QIAGEN, which is an $8 billion company. Chris Cox, who is the chief commercial officer of he was the chief commercial officer of the medicines company, which sold for $9.7 billion to Novartis. John Nichols, who created a company called Codexis. He was the chairman and CEO of that company, grew it from a $100 million market cap to over $2 billion market cap. And then we have Daniel Grunes, who's the CEO of our bioprocessing business, and Helena Santos, who you'll meet later, who's the CEO of the company. Next slide. So again, we talked about the three components of the business. We have the Genie product line, which is the leader in vortex mixing. That business plus a business that Helene acquired in 2014 called the Torbal business. Those Genie's 70 years old. The Torbal business is 100 years old and has 80% of the market for pharmacy scales. And we've invested in that business, and we're, again, digitally simplifying pill counting. You've probably heard about the fact that there's a crisis of not enough pharmacists, just as we're having the graying of America, and we need to do there's a crushing workload on the pharmacists. So the solution is automating that, and that's going to be our first product to market that is enabled by machine learning, and we've got three products in that product line. It's growing very nicely, and by the end of the year, we're going to have the world's first machine learning enabled pill counting system. About 85% of it is complete at this time. And then we have scientific bioprocessing, which does about $1.7 million of the revenue. We do our manufacturing in Bohemia, New York, and also the scientific bioprocessing products are manufactured in Germany. Next slide. So where are we today? We've invested over $31 million to de-risk the technology. We have a deep uh, moat, both from patents as well as for algorithms around the scientific bioprocessing technology. We have a blue chip list of customers that are using our products, that are actively out at trade shows communicating about the benefits that they see from the product with their peers. And the company does it's a small product line right now, about $1.7 million in sales. But what's really exciting is where we're going next, which is that we'll have the fully integrated platform completed in 2025 with adding new features like pH and a liquid injection system. So that's really essential for having a complete product. We believe that we're going to be able to dramatically increase the growth rate. We're going to hit break even by 2027. And the dream is to have $20 million of sales at a 20% EBITDA. And because of the fact we're going to be fueling AI and biomanufacturing, we believe that this could be several $100 million to $1 billion ultimate product line. But it takes time to change the way people are doing their workflows, and we think that this is a very compelling opportunity. Next slide. So obviously we're very optimistic about this. Who else is optimistic about this market? Well, Jensen Huang says the next amazing revolution that's going to come from artificial intelligence is digital biology. And digital biology means using the essentially infinite quality of nature and how many different combinations in this age of living machines are coming. And the first evidence of digital biology was something that won the Nobel Prize, which is AlphaFold, which is basically being able to predict the folding of proteins and how do you use that to design drugs. Now, DARPA, which you probably know is a department of the Department of Defense that created the internet, they say the real opportunity here in making digital biology happen is the validation of the technology. So it's basically combining the computation ability of artificial intelligence, which we call the dry lab, connecting that with the wet lab. So he believes the head of DARPA's biology group says that now is the time to think bigger about closing the gaps between the bits, the dry laboratory, and the atoms, which is the validation. So that's what we're doing by digitally simplifying biology. We're combining the power of computational biology with being able to deliver a a controlled and monitored experiment in a bioreactor at a fraction of the cost of what's been possible before. So next slide. Um, so essentially today, what's the problem point? The problem point is that Boston Consulting Group said that upscaling technology fails 90% of the time. And so that's at about $3 million per scale up effort. So it's extremely expensive. What we've been able to do by enabling essentially a shake flask like bioreactor, we've been able to reduce the cost to about $200 per experiment versus the current status quo, which is $10,000 per experiment. So that's really critical when you're doing artificial intelligence based experiments. You've got to be able to do a lot of experiments very, very cheaply. And we're really the only people that have figured that out and where the market's going. Next slide. So what does DOTS enable artificial intelligence to do? It enables to go from an experiment where in a shake flask you're just able to do, you're able to manually sample and get one data point. We're able to deliver 1 million data points per day. And so that essentially data, we say, is the rocket fuel of artificial intelligence. That's what we're able to uniquely be able to provide to the pharmaceutical industry. Next slide. So what we've done is we've taken something which is very simple and very cheap, the shake flask, and we've been able to deliver the functionality of these very complex, large, smart, and expensive systems, which are the benchtop fermenters. We're to deliver it in one simple, small, affordable package. Next slide. This is what we call the DOTS multi-parameter sensor. So we start with the shake flask, and every life science lab in the world has shake flasks. They have the incubators. They have all the foot. So no additional foot space is required in the laboratory. Our system has four components. It has a DOTS multi-parameter reader, which monitors for the first time in biology all of these different parameters at once. We have a feeding system that's very important for being able to feed and to be able to monitor, but also to be able to control and do something called PID control, which is something which normally you can't do unless you spend about $125,000 on a bioreactor. We have incredibly complex algorithms and software, and then we have a single-use disposable sensor, which is used to be able to monitor the dissolved oxygen in the vessel. So that's $15 of revenue to us for every experiment. There's 14 million experiments done every year in the United States in shake flasks. Next slide. So we believe it's a remarkable growth opportunity with a validated and expanding portfolio. We're going to be constantly introducing new products. We project break even before the end of 2027. We have an existing commercial pipeline of opportunities of about $4 million. We currently have about a 60% gross margin, but we're expanding that to a 70% with the more disposables that we add. And we have a great manufacturer. We have no manufacturing limitations, and we have strong OpEx leverage to basically expanding dramatically the growth rate and hopefully the multiple of our business. Now, these businesses generally tend to sell when they do transact at 10 to 20 times revenue. So $20 million may not seem like a lot of revenue, but it's worth at $20 million revenue business growing at the rate that we're growing in the bioprocessing business is worth over $200 million compared to our current $10 million market cap. So there's an opportunity for substantial shareholder appreciation. If you go to the next slide. So what's the validation that we're doing something that really matters? What we've got a customer list of the biggest names, whether it's from government labs like the FDA, the USDA, the biggest companies, Genentech, Google, GSK, Pfizer, DuPont. These are all companies that are our customers. We've just launched the product into mammalian cell culture, which is the most, basically all of the best-selling drugs today are all biologic-based drugs. And so that's launching us into that business. These are very rich customers that are able to buy a lot of equipment. And what nobody can predict is the force multiplying power of artificial intelligence. So we think that the fact that we have the unique solution for validating computational biology is going to be an extremely valuable franchise for us and our shareholders going forward. Next slide. Now I'm going to hand the call over to Helena Santos, our CEO, to discuss our capitalization.
Thank you. So what we have here is our balance sheet as of the last reporting period, which was our first quarter, March 31st, 2025. As you can see, we have a debt-free balance sheet. And as of March 31st, our cash and cash equivalents was about 1.2. Since then, on April 18th, we finalized and we were successful at another round of financing, which provided to the company $1.5 million for investing in our bioprocessing and corporate expenditures as well. What that did to our shares outstanding on the right side there was it increased our outstanding shares by about 1,050,000 shares. And the warrants at the bottom increased to approximately 10.2 million warrants. And with that, I will turn it over to John just for some final remarks.
Well, I think a lot of us would love to have invested in NVIDIA, and a couple of years back, but at the end of the day, that company saw a future for artificial intelligence that didn't exist. They created the future. They created CUDA. They created the chips that were necessary to be able to power the artificial intelligence revolution. And now, what's really going to be exciting is the applications layer. We're not going to compete with the Googles and the Amazons of the world that are creating what we call the hyperscalers. But what's essential for converting that huge amount of investment that's coming into those markets is the applications layer, right? So how are you going to monetize it? And Jensen Huang of NVIDIA, Larry Ellison of Oracle, they all say it's going to be digital biology. It's going to be creating new drugs using the power of artificial intelligence. But you've heard the expression, garbage in, garbage out. What you need to be able to have is this critical connection between the dry lab, the computational biology, plus the validation in the wet lab, the actual validation that you're not just, making up the numbers, that you're actually doing biological data. Data essentially is the rocket fuel of artificial intelligence. And that's what's powerful about scientific industries and the vision and the investment that we've made in scientific biology, bioprocessing today. And we invite you to consider becoming a shareholder and benefiting from that exciting future of the artificial intelligence new era. Thank you very much.
Great. Elena and John, thanks for that overview. Let's go over a few questions. First, can you share additional insights into the upcoming launch of the optical pH sensor and the high performance liquid injection system for the DOTS platform?
Yes, so it's the challenge that we've had is that while an experiment in a bioreactor again costs normally $10,000, and it does a couple different things. You're able to monitor dissolved oxygen, you're able to monitor biomass, and those are all things that we do in Shake Flask right now. But other critical components are being able to monitor pH, because you want to make certain that your cells are growing in a environment where they don't die off. So you're maintaining a balanced pH. And then the second thing is you've got to be able to have very carefully metered flow of food for the bugs or for the cells that are growing. So what we don't have right now is we don't have the pH monitoring and we don't have the careful flow control. And both of those components are part of the $30 million of investment that we made to date, and those will be introduced before the end of the year. So we believe that once we have the complete package of everything that you can do in a bioreactor, that's going to be a major catalyst for us being able to convert the $4 million of existing pipeline we have, as well as expanding that pipeline.
Very good. Recently, you highlighted an ongoing study that focused on groundbreaking new design that aims to enhance sensors and baffled flasks. Help us understand the importance of this and how it expands your market opportunities.
Well, one of the problems in a shake flask is oxygen transfer. And And so, in order to overcome the limitations of oxygen transfer in a conventional shake flask, they use baffled flasks. And to date, we haven't been able to monitor the dissolved oxygen in a baffled flask. That's going to
Hmm.
approximately quadruple the size of the market opportunity for us. So when we're able to monitor, we've basically created a new sensor which is able to withstand the extra friction and stress of a baffled flask. And that product is going to be introduced in the next several months. That's going to quadruple the size of the opportunity for us. So, Tim Cook of Apple says that innovation starts after the product launch. So what you're going to see from us is a number of additions like baffled flasks that are going to expand the market for the products that we've already introduced just by, you know, adding this additional functionality.
That's great. Um, Next question here. Can you provide more color on your first peer-reviewed journal publication on your DOTS platform?
Yes, so we have over 400 peer-reviewed journal articles on our first product to market, which was simply a biomass monitor. And right now, still to date, about 90% of all experiments that are done in shake flasks are done manually for monitoring biomass. So what's really important is to be able to have the validation of a third party, a prestigious university. So we're using RWTH. They wrote a peer-reviewed journal article comparing the measurements that we're taking in in the shake flasks against conventional reactions that are being made in bioreactors and other measurement techniques. And they completely validated everything that we're doing is even more rigorous than conventional sensing methodologies. So it's a critical green light for customers to be able to say, okay, we understand that you're doing something innovative, but is it comparable to what we're doing right now and our other measurements and other technologies that we're using? And the answer is a resounding yes.
Good. That's great to hear. How do you see the competitive landscape evolving in bioprocessing, and what impact will AI have on shaping these changes? And how does the DOTS platform factor into this transformation?
Well, the big problem that we're hearing is people saying, well, there's lots of computing power. Everything has fallen into place for the artificial intelligence revolution to happen. It's, the access of, these the availability of these huge, city size data centers. So you've got the computing power. You have the chat GPTs and the
Mhm.
AI algorithms. But you need the validation between the dry lab and the wet lab. And so in order for the computers not to just go crazy and creating all type of, projections of things that could happen, but that are not practical and not related to what the biology is capable of. So what you need is this validation component. And we are the critical linchpin for delivering that validation component. And it just doesn't exist right now. I mean, it exists if you want to do a $10,000 experiment. But we talk to a lot of our customers and they say, artificial intelligence isn't relevant for us because we start our experiments in a 20-liter bioreactor and we just can't do enough experiments to be able to create a data set that's able to be able to power and populate an artificial intelligence system. So we're really at this very unique moment where you've got all the pieces in place for the digital biology revolution powered by AI to happen, and yet you need to be able to have an affordable, cheap, replicatable system for being able to validate the computational biology models. So we think we're at the right place at the right time. We think this is going to be an extremely valuable product line for our researchers out there in the community, academic researchers and industrial researchers, and that's why we think we're going to be able to create a lot of value for our shareholders.
That's helpful. All right, last question. Looking forward, what are the keys to success that investors should be looking for in 2025 and 2026?
Well, it's the successful launch of pH and our LIS 2.0, liquid injection system 2.0, and the resulting sales ramp that's going to happen because of that. And we also think that there's going to be some very big names in mammalian cell culture, uh, some of the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world that are going to be both adopting our products as well as providing data spotlights for us and publishing papers on to be able to validate our platform.
Great. Before we wrap up, John, do you have any final comments?
No, just we're very excited to be here at this time and being able to contribute not only to science but also to the scientific leadership of the Western world in digital biology. It's a really exciting time to be alive and contributing to this space, and we hope that the investor community would like to join us in this this exciting future.
Great. Again, thank you, John and Helena. And thanks to everyone for watching. If you have any questions or would like to schedule a meeting with Scientific Industries, send me an email at dorame@lythampartners.com. Lastly, if you'd like to learn more about Lytham Partners, please visit our website at lythampartners.com. We hope you all enjoy the conference and have a great day.